They are the luckiest team this season in the Premier League. And I'm not even saying that because I'm a Palace fan.
I'm going. In fact, actually, can I just throw Sean Dyche in there? Or is that...
Can
I not do that? No, all right, we'll go with
no
Ben.
chance.
The only thing United are missing right now is a manager that can win.
Are they in any better position than they were when they had Mourinho, do you think?
Nope.
No, worse, aren't they, to me?
You saw it on the weekend against Arsenal. He looked embarrassed on the touchline. Yeah. It's the battle of the Joes this weekend. Norwich versus Burnley.
Hello, welcome to episode 2 of Fan Zone, the Premier League talk show by fans for fans. In today's episode, we are joined by Joe from TurfCast, Dee from Back of the Next, and me, Joe, again. That's going to get confusing, from Canary Cast. That is Burnley, Palace and Norwich. Right, let's get straight into it, lads. After Brighton's draw on Monday, only 1 point separates first and sixth in the table. So is this going to be the tightest Premier League season we have seen? What do we think?
I think it's going to settle down, personally. I mean, it always starts like this, doesn't it? There's always a team that looks terrible from the top six. Like Arsenal did look like that until recently. Now Tottenham look like that. The good teams will rise up there. Brighton will slowly come back down again and fight for a mid-table finish. I think it might be quite tight at the top between the top three. But the top six, I think, will sort of like spread apart and kind of create two mini leagues like they normally do.
But it's interesting though, ain't it, Joe? Because you got Leicester, who haven't had a great start. You've got Arsenal, who we don't know what's going to happen with them. Tottenham under Nuno, that's a whole different topic as well that we'll be talking about soon. So I think this season is going to be very tight in terms of actually at the top, as you mentioned, the top three, Chelsea, City and Liverpool. Not many people have talked about Liverpool going into the season, and they're still, I think, joint top right now as we're speaking. And then you got City, who beat Chelsea over the weekend. So I think it will be tight. I think the fourth place position might be interesting to see because I'm not really too sure who it's going to go to. It's still a long season, but the three teams that are actually competing for the title, and United are not there for me. I think we're gonna see a very good season because you saw over the weekend, Liverpool versus Brentford, who expected that result. And it seems like every single game matters now. And I haven't really imagined a season like this going into it. And I don't know, who's going to win it. It changes every week for me. So I think it's going to be an exciting season.
Yeah, I think it'd be a good one. I completely agree. I think the top three, Liverpool, City, Chelsea, they're the title contenders for me. I take it we're all expecting Everton and Brighton to drop off. But I'm just interested, who do you think will take those sort of fourth, fifth, sixth places in the end?
I think for me, I think United will get fourth. I think United will get fourth. I'm expecting Sancho to come good. I think he will take time to settle, but I think he's got more to offer. Obviously, they've got Ronaldo United as well, so that's worth like 10, 15 points in itself.
Yeah.
So even if he's just scoring tap-ins from 3 yards out, I think the fifth and sixth, I'm not too sure, because I know everyone's raving about Arsenal again at the minute after, beating Norwich and Burnley. And then, to be fair, they did a dismantle job on Spurs. But with all the greatest respect to my club and your club, Canary Cast, Joe, they only beat Norwich and Burnley. So let's not get too carried away with that one. I think Arsenal might be knocking on the door of it, though, having said that, but I don't think they'll finish like fifth. I might seventh, eighth, maybe even sneaking into sixth. And after that, I'm not really too sure. I think a few teams, there might be a surprise in there. Everton, for example, but they have not got enough squad depth for me, so I think they will start to fade. Brighton, and I'm not just saying this because the Palace fans here, but I think they will drop off as well. They weren't that good on the opening day of the season against us, to be honest. Potter reacted to the game, in fairness to him, made a change, and that change made them, go on to win the game. So, it's going to be interesting, but I think United will get fourth anyway.
I just want to say...
West Ham?
No, West Ham are there. But I just want to say, whilst you mentioned Brighton, they are the luckiest team this season in the Premier League. And I'm not even saying that because I'm a Palace fan. What happened in the last game against Leicester? They should have not won that game. Even in our game, 95th minute goal. Brighton slowly is gonna catch up to them, and they are gonna drop points. And I'm saying this on record, so if any Brighton fans are watching this, trust me, you are gonna drop points. And I really do think they've been lucky so far this season.
No, I think they'll drop off as well. But I want to ask as well, because I've mentioned Manchester United there. What do you boys reckon? Because with three losses in their last 4 games, is the pressure mounting on OLE? I don't think they'll win a trophy this season. What about you two?
I think it'll be a cup if they do, but like saying, I know they've had poor results recently, but like if they're fourth, we've all said the three teams above them are better than them. He's actually doing an all right job. But I think when you talk about Ole and you look at United, I think because they've got like Ronaldo, Fernandes, and then Varane at the back now, they have got a half decent team and a decent squad depth. But it's like Ole, it's an easy decision to make that Ole is like the weak link because he's got less experience than the other managers at the top of the table. And I think that will hang over him. I think everyone's perception of him is similar to that. Don't you agree?
Yeah, 100%. I think the only thing United are missing right now is a manager that can win. They've got a squad to compete. Yeah. We should be talking about Man United joining the likes of Chelsea, City, and also Liverpool in this conversation. But it's Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. I have zero faith in him as a neutral for him to go and win them trophies. We've seen it. He always slips up at some stage. And I think it's just him and his mentality, really, that's going to cost United this season. United, they've spent money and they've got some quality players. You're talking about Jadon Sancho being on the bench. That squad can compete to win the Premier League. But the question is, can Ole deliver? And I honestly don't think so. But are they going to sack him? I'm not too sure as well. But you know what? You have to give credit to Ole to a certain extent because they've been a yo-yo club in a way since Fergie's left. And Ole's went there and he's offered them, he's offered them a bit of stability. And they've got that now. But for a club like Manchester United, one of the biggest clubs in the world, you have to go and win trophies. Ole, you've done a great job, but he's not going to be able to deliver you that. He's got all the fundamentals back in place. Now they need a manager who's got experience of winning and is playing football that will actually make them win, which Ole isn't.
Yeah, spot on there, D, for me. I think I like United's side. I think they've got a very good side, as Canary Cast Joe mentioned there. That side should be knocking on the door of at least challenging the top three. But I don't see them doing that with that manager. They need, look at the difference between Chelsea, from the Lampard Chelsea and Tuchel Chelsea. Look at the difference there. That's something that United would need to do. Bring in a manager of that caliber and that quality, and with the experience that could do things like that, and then get them to the next level. But I'm not sure he can.
Yeah, let's go to the other side of the city, Manchester City. After Pep scored his revenge over Tuchel last weekend, who is the best manager in the Premier League today? I'll start with you, Joe. You're saying, who is it?
I'm going to go Pep just because of the longevity. He's done it for longer in the Premier League. Tuchel is there for me at the minute. He's knocking on the door, definitely. But yeah, I'm just going Pep just because of how well he's done over the last few years. But Tuchel tends to have Pep's number, doesn't he? Obviously, he didn't at the weekend, to be fair. But normally, obviously, the bigger games, he has done. So I don't know. We might see him overtake him. We might see Tuchel overtake Pep. But for now, I'm going. In fact, actually, can I just throw Sean Dyche in there? Or is that? Can I not do that? No. All right, we'll go with Pep.
No chance.
No, exactly. No chance. If we're putting Sean Dyche there, then we might as well put Daniel Farke there and Patrick Vieira as well. Who else are going at it? Exactly. But what about Jurgen Klopp? No one's talking about him. Is he up there? Because what he's done with Liverpool, Champions League, Premier League, and remember the squad that he had when you first went to Liverpool, it wasn't that great.
I think if Klopp does it this year, like if Liverpool go and win the league, and I know they got Konate and people in the summer, but they didn't spend as much as like Chelsea and City. I think if Klopp goes with pretty much the same squad and wins the league, then I think he's well within a shout for that. I think if you look at the minute, probably Pep's CV wins out over Tuchel, who I have been really impressed with. But I think if Klopp can do it this season against Chelsea and Man City and the money that they've spent, the squads that they've got, I think that'd be so impressive. I think he's well within his rights to be like probably the best manager in the league if I can do that.
Yeah, spot on, I think, there. Because they didn't spend much, did they, Liverpool, compared to the other two? So no. I ultimately think they'll fall short, Liverpool. I do think it's going to be one of City or Chelsea who win the league. And I think Liverpool will probably finish third. But I think they'll have them there or thereabouts until they just kind of run out of steam just because of squad depth.
Yeah. All right, let's talk about Spurs because we had that 3-0 defeat against Arsenal at the weekend in the North London derby. Nuno started the season all right, nothing special, but it looks like it's on the downslope now. Are they in any better position than they were when they had Mourinho, do you think?
Nope.
No, they're worse, aren't they, for me?
Exactly. Yeah, they've gone worse. We're talking about Nuno, who was going to come to Palace before he went to Tottenham. And if you're a big club like Tottenham, surely you should be aiming to get better managers than what Palace were trying to attract. And in all honesty, look, you look at Tottenham squad, you got Harry Kane, you got Son there, you got attacking players, and Nuno isn't an attacking manager. It doesn't make any sense. And the players there know that as well. So it's a hard thing to get by. I don't know how they're going to be able to do it. The only way Nuno can be successful is we saw it in the first couple of games of the season where they were solid defensively. But it doesn't make any sense because the players that they've got is not suited for that football. So how are they going to achieve that? I'm not too sure. But right now, I'm not going to say he deserves a sack after 6 games, but how is it going to work? You're going to give him time, but has he got the players that he needs? He plays counter-attacking football, and yes, there's some quality players there, but you saw it on the weekend against Arsenal. He looked embarrassed on the touchline. Yeah. And I think that's pretty much telling. I don't think he's ready for the Tottenham job. And even if he was, he hasn't got the players to play the type of football that he wants to play. So it makes no sense to me, the appointment, and it seemed like a rush one. But Levi, he's not going to sack him, is he? Because if he sacks him, it's going to be everyone's going to be looking at him saying, why did he hire him in the first place? So he'll give him probably 4 to 5 months. And if it's going bad, then afterwards he'll sack him and blame the manager rather than himself. But he was at fault. Nuno should never be in at Tottenham. They should have got a better manager and he couldn't attract them. And now Tottenham are paying the price for it.
Yeah, definitely. I think I agree with you again there, D. I think Tottenham, they should have gone with someone with a few more credentials. All right, Nuno did a good job at Wolves. But even Wolves fans weren't too disappointed to see him leave in the end. It kind of felt like it had his shelf life, so to speak, and Wolves fans were getting fed up with the football and things like that. So yeah, I feel they should have brought someone a little bit better in, but I don't know. They started well, didn't they? They started well. And he got it completely wrong at the weekend. I think he showed his inexperience at the weekend. He got it completely wrong. They were absolutely battered very, very easily. They had the wrong game plan, the wrong idea. But then that game plan worked against City, didn't it, earlier in the season? So. No, I do think probably talk of sacking him like is coming from some areas is a bit harsh because, they started well and, they've had a dip. They might come back up again. But yeah, I agree. I do think they should have gone with someone a bit better.
Yeah, I mean, ideally they go with someone better. That managerial search went on for what felt like months, didn't it? I'm sure they tried to get someone better in. And I feel like Nuno's actually done pretty well to get himself that job. That's quite a nice step up from Wolves, I think. I feel sorry for him with the whole Kane debacle because, that must have a huge impact on the dressing room if their star player is not really wanting to be there. However, that being said, I don't think Mourinho loses the North London derby 3-0. I don't think that happens. I do think it's a downgrade.
They lost 3-0 to Palace as well. And then after that, they lost 3-0 to Chelsea. And then they lost 3-1. If you've got a defensive manager and you're conceding 3 goals every single game, there's something seriously wrong because you can't attack with they should be able to attack, but you're not attacking with the players that you got and you can't defend. So what on earth can you do?
Yeah. And to be fair to him, I think Harry Kane's having his usual August dip, isn't it? When Harry Kane starts scoring goals again, fingers crossed for Spurs anyway, that might come into it. But speaking of players that are underperforming, what about underrated players? Who's your underrated player of the season so far, boys?
I think so far, I have to give it to Mikel Antonio. He's been an absolute beast. Yeah. He's been so good as a striker as well. He had a good season last season, but I didn't expect... He's got 5 goals already or something silly.
He's had a very, very good start, hasn't he?
He's gone crazy, literally. But I think there's a better underrated player than that. And I think it goes to Conor Gallagher at Palace. I don't... Honestly, look, Antonio, everyone is talking about him now. I think he's got the hype now based on how he finished last season. But he's still hugely underrated by the casual fans, let's say. But Conor Gallagher, no one is talking about him. But honestly, he is ready for the England call-up. And I say this every single time I'm talking about him. I don't know how to describe him. He can do everything. He can attack, he can defend, he can tackle, he can dribble. He's just Conor Gallagher, as I always do say. And there's now talks about him potentially getting called up to the England squad. And the impact that he's had at Palace so far this season, I have never seen this player play before. He might have been good at West Brom, but he's never reached his levels before. And I think he's been hugely underrated, one of our better players this season. And without Conor Gallagher, some of the results that we got, I know we haven't got that many wins, but even some of the draws that we got, I don't think it will be there. West Ham game, 2-2. Conor Gallagher scores 2 goals. I think he's been hugely underrated by neutrals, and he's been one of the most key players for Palace this season. And I absolutely love him to bits.
Fair enough.
Oh, yeah, fair enough. I was going to go with Antonio, but it's been stolen off me. But thankfully, I had a backup. It's got to be Tony, I think, at Brentford. They've come up. They've done very, very well. He's been scoring goals. He's been scoring some very, very good goals as well. Again, as we were talking earlier, certain teams I think will fade. I think Brentford will fade. But I think it's going to be a similar sort of story to Huddersfield a few seasons ago, where they come up, they ride the crest of that wave, they get enough points when they're on form and when they're riding that crest of that wave, that eventually they might just stay up towards the end of the season when they're not performing and they're out of form. And if they do stay up, it's a massive credit to Ivan Toney, and I think after that he might even get a move to a well-established Premier League club. So I'm going to throw him in the ring.
It's the battle of the Joes this weekend, Norwich versus Burnley. I both of you, before going and recording this, both of you will say we need to get something out of the game. So with defeat, could Norwich be destined to break Derby's record for the lowest point tally? Which Joe wants to step in? Go.
I'll go. Norwich have been really underwhelming so far this season. We did have a really difficult start. We had Liverpool first day, and there was some sort of encouraging signs there. Janulis at left back had a great game, little things like that. City destroyed us, to be fair. That ball in between the wing back and the centre half, they just killed us with that. Leicester, they beat us 2-1 at Carrow Road. We had a goal disallowed, could have got something out of that game, to be fair. Watford game was the worst one, though, because it's that's a huge game, like this one at the weekend is. And we were absolutely nowhere near it, lost 3-1. And I'm really worried that same thing happens again. I'm not confident at all, Joe, which you'll be pleased to hear. Know how confident you are, but saying that, if we can somehow win and get ourselves off the bottom and above Burnley, that could kickstart the season. But I feel like that's quite a big ask to go to Turf Moor and win.
Yeah, well, normally I would agree with you. I remember a few seasons ago we had a poor start to the season, and then we played you, and then we got a 2-0 win. But I think that scoreline, if anything, flattered Norwich. We were the better side on the day, getting a lot of joy down the wings and stuff like that. And I'm hoping for something similar. But Turf Moor, people always say that Turf Moor is a difficult place to go. I don't think we've won there since February, so it's not like it used to be. And I'm not really sure why, to be honest. But as I was saying to you both off air before we started, I feel like second bottom at the minute, it looks worse than what it is. I am a little bit worried, but I ultimately will always think that we're confident of staying up while Sean Dyche is manager. If he leaves, then that's a different story. But obviously, hopefully we're not having that debate in a few years, but we might be. But I think, I'm confident of us staying up, and I think at the weekend, fingers crossed, we can get some joy. But as I was saying, that second bottom, I don't think it reflects us this season. Opening day of the season, we played Brighton, the better team, for 60, 70 minutes. They changed it up. We didn't respond. That's one of Dyche's main faults, in my opinion. He doesn't really have a plan B. Then we end up losing the game. Leicester, we went 1-0 up, then we went 2-0 up, and then we had a goal disallowed in the 95th minute. So again, we could have easily won that one. Went 1-0 up at Everton, could have won that one. Should have beat Leeds as well. There's only really the Liverpool game where we've been sort of outclassed, really. There's been spells in both where we've been outclassed. So I'm quietly confident that we can get a result this weekend. But I don't necessarily just want a result. I want us to sort of not batter, because we don't batter teams. That's not what I'm going to say. I'm not going to say I'm expecting us to win 4-0. But I want a nice, confident, big performance, strong performance, a typical Burnley performance that we haven't seen for a while. It's looking like Vidra will be back, which is good. But unfortunately, I think Cornet is going to be out for a few more weeks yet, which is a shame, because he started life at Burnley pretty well.
I think this game is massive for Norwich more than Burnley. If you lose this game, the confidence of the players, they're already low. Daniel Farke, as a manager, what is he going to do? Is he going to stay? And if he stays, then the question is about Derby's record lowest point tally. It might be in a question, unfortunately, Joe. Honestly, I don't see where else you can pick up points after the performance that you had against Watford. And if you go and struggle against Burnley, then where does Norwich go and pick up points? I feel like the confidence will be absolutely destroyed. So if Norwich loses this weekend, then I think seriously you have to look at your manager, because it can be a very long season. And it seems like the players, you've got some talented players there, but it seems like the players are just not getting the best out of from your manager. So someone else might need to come in to give you hope, because right now Norwich have been a yo-yo club and you don't want to be that. You want to stay in the Premier League. So I think this is going to be your biggest game of the season. I think it's going to be bigger than Watford as well, because of the impact that a loss against Burnley can have on the whole squad.
To be fair, for the first time in the 5 years Daniel Farke's been here, there are starting to be murmurings of, do we need to think about replacing him, changing manager, blah, blah, blah. But honestly, the first time, I completely agree with you. There's not a lot of evidence to suggest that we're going to pick up points. Like, unless, let's say Newcastle come to town and have a bad day, we might beat them at Carrow Road or something like that, like the one-off victories. But yeah, just having PTSD flashbacks from the last time we were in the Prem at the minute, to be honest with you. But I think we'll wrap it up there for now, lads. That was the episode 2 of the Fan Zone. Let us know what you think in the comments below. Drop the video a like, that'd be great. And until next week, take care and thanks for watching. Cheers.